Hey guys, it's your friend John here, and today, instead of doing a build video like I normally do, I'll be reviewing a product. I'm going to be reviewing the JinJunLang Knife Tool Tactical Knife. I'm sure I might have mispronounced the name wrong, but that's okay. This is a knife review video, not a how to pronounce words correctly video. Let's begin. Come on. There we go. Now, my overall thoughts on this knife is it's really nice. It comes with a little case that you can have on you. You can very easily put the knife in here. You can take it out, not very easily, but it's nice to have it. You can put it on your belt while you're at work, or you're camping, or you're hiking. It's just a nice thing to have. Now we're going to talk about the knife. The knife is pretty decent. The only downside about the knife is it is a little hard to open and close. It's not very easily. You're actually supposed to open the knife using this switch right here, and it's kind of hard to open it. You kind of have to... There we go. It's not... It doesn't function correctly, this switch right here. It kind of doesn't even close correctly as well. You're supposed to use this switch to open and close it, but as you can see, as I'm pushing down, it just doesn't really open it unless I kind of help it a little. So this switch is kind of useless. So realistically, when you do open it, you kind of have to open it manually. And even when you do it manually, opening and closing, it's not very easy. It is difficult. And realistically, you probably have to add a little bit of oil and loosen these screws up. But I shouldn't have to do that on my own. That should already be done by the factory, not by the user. That's how it's supposed to open. That's how it's supposed to close. It can be very difficult to open it that way or close it. Doesn't want to close now. But I think you get the point. It can be difficult. It does sometimes work. There we go. And sometimes it doesn't work. But realistically, you don't have to open it that way. You can open it like that. Now, the knife has a nice, sharp stainless steel blade, and I believe the handle is also all stainless steel. This knife you can also get in black or two-tone black with stainless steel, but I recommend getting the gray because there's no paint, the paint won't scratch off, and stainless steel doesn't really rust. It can rust, but it's going to take years and years and years of being out in the rain for it to rust. So I would just get the stainless steel. I won't even bother getting the paint unless you like the paint, but just keep in mind as you're using it, the paint will get scratched and scrape off. That's why I like this one. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to review this entire knife using this rating system that I use to rate other weapons. Now let's take a look. So let's start with number 1, style design. And honestly, it has a pretty nice look to it. I gave it a 7 because it's not bad looking. It has a good design to it. Now let's go to number 2, cleanliness. It's pretty clean looking. It's pretty organized. There's nothing out of place, so it has a good look as well. Let's look at number 3, intimidation. I gave it a 5. It's not very intimidating. It's a small little knife. If I had a bigger knife, that'd be a lot more intimidating than this smaller knife. So I think a 5 is pretty decent. Now we'll look at practicality and we'll look at the build quality. For build quality, I gave it a 7. It's well made. It got a lot of screws holding it together. There's nothing loose. You can shake it. You can beat on it. It's well made. However, the fact that it doesn't open and close quickly and has a lot of resistance when you open and close it does hurt the score, so I gave it a 7. For kill reliability, I gave it a 5, only because it's a smaller sized knife. It's just a standard pocket knife. It's not a sword. It's not a machete. It's not an axe or anything special. It's just a standard knife. For time reliability, I gave it a 7, only because it has a lot of moving parts, and those moving parts could become defective over time or just being used multiple times. Like I said, it's built pretty well. Nothing's loose. There's a lot of screws holding it together. But however, the fact that you can't really open and close it does kind of hurt it. So time reliability is kind of hard to say. It is stainless steel, so it won't rust. Now, hand comfort. And I don't know what these people were thinking when they designed the handle. They were probably thinking, how can we make the handle as uncomfortable as possible? Because this handle is really uncomfortable. So I gave it a 3. Just a very poorly designed handle. I do not like the comfort of that handle at all. Now let's go to usability and handling, number 8. For number 8, handling ability, I gave it a 5 because it's a very small knife. It's not very balanced. The handle is much heavier than the blade, so it's not a balanced knife. That kind of hurts it a little bit. Even though it is a lightweight knife, its uncomfortable handle does hurt it, and being used by the user by holding it can be very uncomfortable. Now, defense ability, I gave it a 3 because it's small. If someone came at you with a machete, you're not blocking a machete with this knife, or even a hunting knife or a Bowie knife, whatever what it may be. The small knife does hurt the rating, so for number 9, I gave it a 3. It's just not very good at defending. Number 10, attack ability, I gave it a 6. It's pretty good at attacking. If you're able to get up close to a person, you can definitely jab it in them, but you'd have to get close to them. Now for number 11, storage ability, I gave it a 10. It's a small little knife. It's not very big. You can very easily put it in your pocket. You can very easily put it in your backpack. It does not take up a lot of space. That's why I gave it a 10. Number 12, carry ability, I gave it a 7. It's not heavy at all, but it can be hard to carry in the hands. If you're holding it all the time, it can become sore in the hands. Not to mention, it is all metal, so if you're holding it in a colder environment, the handle can be very cold. Again, it's always going to be the handle that hurts this knife the most. Now for weapon versus other weapons, number 13, effectiveness, I gave it a 7. It's still pretty effective. It's just a knife. It's nothing crazy. It's still an effective knife. It'll still cut. It'll still slice. It can still be used as a knife. For number 14, inside class, I gave it a 4. Even though it would be up against other knives, it's safe to say that another knife isn't going to have this type of handle. Unless you're up against another knife that has a cactus for a handle, I think you're in the downfall of this one. This knife's handle is just not very comfortable, and other knives with more comfortable handles, even if it's the same size, will always have a much higher advantage. And finally, 15, outside class, I gave it a 2. It's just not a good knife for fighting anything else larger than it. Fighting with a machete or a sword, an axe, or even just a larger knife, this knife right here has such a disadvantage against other weapons. So the overall score is an 86 out of 150, which makes it a 57.33%, or it would make this weapon fair. And here's why this is a fair knife. Now, it's still pretty good, all stainless steel, it's made pretty well. It does have some issues with the opening and closing. When you're using this switch, you really got to do it manually. This switch doesn't really work that well, but it's always going to be the handle that always hurts it. It's just not that comfortable, and like I said, against other knives, just like this one, you're always going to have that disadvantage. Now, you're probably wondering, is this knife worth buying? Well, the answer is yes and no. It's worth having in your collection because it is a unique knife. It has a unique style and a unique way of opening. But as a knife for a tool, going camping, or using it for survival, I wouldn't get it. It's a knife that isn't really worth going out of your way and getting. I got it on eBay because I thought it looked cool. This is where I got it from. And like I said earlier, the only thing cool about this knife is the way it looks and the way it opens and closes. Well, if you're able to open it properly with that switch, but you kind of can't very easily. It's kind of difficult. Another cool thing about this knife, it has a belt clip right here, so you can put it on your belt without the case. You don't really need the case to have this knife on your pants. You can just clip it on your pants, clip it on your belt, clip it on your shirt. So I'm going to end the video here. Let me know what you think of this knife. Let me know how you would rate this knife. It's still a pretty okay knife. It's not terrible, but you let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to like the video if you liked it. Please be sure to subscribe if you're a new viewer. And if you want to help me get more viewers and possibly more subscribers, please share this video. Thank you very much.